right, continuing our review for the final question 19. Consider a different approach to analyzing U.S. national debt over time. This is something we saw in class. Economists frequently compare the national debt at different times and measuring it as a percentage of the GDP. So the GDP is the estimated value of all goods and services that we produce as a country. So we need to find the debt as a percentage of GDP. So this is the part of the whole. Okay, so this is the part out of the whole. So it's 259 as the part over the whole, which is over 100 because we spent more than we made. Okay, so it's this times 100%. Okay, put this in your calculator. You should get 116%. So this is smaller. Okay, our debt was smaller. 1980, we did well over the whole. Multiplied by 100 to make it a percent. Check it. See if you get 33%. For this, same deal, 4,974 part over the whole times 100%, and you should get 67%. A couple more. Feel free to pause the video and do it on your own, and then come back and watch. You should get 97%. We're spending more. And then once again in 2015, we spent more than we made. Not good. Multiply by 100%, 101%. Okay. We did more work with this in class, but this is just a little refresher. Question 20. According to the American Vet Medical Association website, the number of dogs in the U.S. in 2010 was 72 million. Number of cats was 82 million. Number of horses was 7 million. A square 2 centimeters on each side is being used to represent the number of horses. All right. We want to make a square to represent the number of dogs. The area of the square representing the number of dogs and the area of the square representing the number of horses should be in the same ratio as the population. So what would be the length of each side of the square? So there's actually a couple questions here. So putting some stuff together here. So dogs, there were 72 million, right? And we'll ignore cats for now. Horses, 7 million. And what we know is that the area of a square is, if you have x and x, it's x squared. Okay, so x squared, if that's the area of the square, over 72 for the dogs should be equal to, we were told that 2 on each side, so it's 2 squared over 7 million. This is for the horses. Horses and dogs. So we have x squared over 72 is 4 over 7. 2 squared is 4. And then you can cross multiply. And you get 7x squared equals 288. And then you divide. If you divide, you get some decimal value. Yeah, you get 41.14. So to solve for x now, to get rid of the square, you're going to take the square root of that. Okay, so put that in our calculator. Let's type in answer. So I'm getting about 6.4 centimeters. Check my units. Yes, units are centimeters. All right. Question 21. That since 2013, we've paid $942 per month in rent on a bedroom home in the city of Hutchinson, Minnesota. Landlord may change the rent relative to the changes in CPI. CPI, as you know, is defined over here. We won't read that. And then here we have the CPI for all the years from 2013 to 2017. The landlord wishes to adjust the rental amount he set in 2013 based on CPI. Calculate what your new rent would be in 2017. Okay, so you know in 2013 you've been paying that much. So $942 was your rent in the year 2013 relative to the CPI 233. So now 2017, what should your rent be correspondingly? Well, the CPI is that. So another cross multiply and solve. Pause the video and then I will give you the answer. So X should be about $993. It's 992.54. But we can make it about 993. That would be the new rent. All right, next question. When you see a two-way table, immediately think to yourself, up, need the totals, across and bottom. Let's put that on. So pause the video if you need to and get your calculator to do some of these totals. I'm trying to do this quick. And if you add this way or this way, your total should be 1,500. Okay, you might want to double check that. Sensitivity, that is when someone actually has the disease, has cervical cancer. Out of all the people who have it, how many correctly test positive? 76 of them have a positive test. And if you put this in your calculator, it's not very good. 63.3%, rounding to the nearest tenth. Now, specificity is when they don't have cancer and correctly test negative. So out of all the people who don't have that cancer, how many correctly test negative? If you put this in your calculator, check it, you should get 96.7%. Okay, next one is colonoscopy is a medical procedure used as a screening tool to detect early signs of colorectal cancer. Unfortunately, they're not always completely accurate. One journal article reports the specificity of a colonoscopy is 97%. Which of the following interpretations are correct for this number? So read through this, pause the video. If you're resuming the video, the answer should be B. 97 of those who don't have colorectal cancer will test negative. Okay, so that's the correct interpretation of specificity. 24. Says the following model can be used to calculate a student's grade, and the question is which student performed better in the course, Zeke or Jack? So basically you're plugging in all of these numbers for homework, test, final exam, and project, and then computing the grade. So I'll do Zeke's over here. So G for grade, that's equal to 0.25 times 80, don't make it a percentage, plus 0.5 times 75, plus 0.15 times final exam, which is 80, plus 0.1 times project. And so put this in your calculator and see what you get. I'm getting 79.5. Repeat the process for Jack and see what you get for G. You're just plugging in these numbers into that formula. You should get 83. So Jack did better. All right, next question. So we have, when a set of numbers is listed in order, the middle number is called the median. The median age of cars in the U.S. is given a table for various years. Create a scattergram, find the rate of change, find the equation, find the vertical intercept of your trend line. Use your equation to predict the model. All of this we're going to do using Desmos. Okay, so this will be on your final. And so I'm going to pause the video and get my phone and enter those data points. But before I do that, I'm going to make this 0. This would be 5. This would be 10, 15, and 20. Okay, just a little refresher. Go to Desmos. Pick the graphing calculator option. Push the plus so you get the table option. I'm doing 0, 5, 10, 15, 20. And then go here and enter these values. 7, 7.7, 8.3, 9, and 10.6. And then once you do that, push on the magnifying lens so that the graph shows up. And then push on that button to get the equation. This will give us all the answers that we need for the first few parts. So we did that. The rate of change is your slope. Slope over here is 0.17. There's a little glare. So slope is 0.17. Okay. And then it's saying write the equation of the trend line. Y equals 0.17x plus 6.82 What is the vertical intercept? That's over there, 0, 6.82. And then 2008. 2008 would be somewhere over here, which would be 18 years. So you plug in x equals 18 and find y. Or you can go to your graph and see if you can get it from there. 18. Very close. Very sensitive. 9 point something. 9.88 I think it was. But you can pause the video and check it out. Okay, I'm going to try that. I'm just going to put it on my calculator, maybe faster. 0.17 times 18 plus 9.8. Not 9.8, 6.82. Sorry about that. 6.82. That's the equation, so 9.88. That's the age. And we're going to predict to see when the age will be 12 years. So the age is your capital A. Okay, that's going to be 12. So 12 equals 0.17x plus 6.82. And we can solve this by subtracting. So we do 12 minus 6.82 and then divide by 0.17, and so you get 30.5 years, and that's starting from 1990, so add 1990, so it's the year 2020 or so. Okay, about 2020. Now, my answer key that I'm going to post, I'm not just doing it on Desmos, I'm also doing it by hand. Okay, so for doing it by hand, we just take the starting point and the ending point, find the slope by hand. You can check that in my answer key. Question 26. The average number of fast food meals consumed by teens in this age group was 215 meals in 2010 and 167 meals in 2015. I'm going to find the slope, which is the rate of change, and then find the equation, okay, for that, and then find some horizontal intercept. So make a quick table here. 2010 can be 0. And then the meals consumed, we'll call it M for meals, capital M, is 215. And then 5 years later, in 2015, it's 167 meals. So slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus 1, 167 minus 215 over 5 minus 0. So if you go and put this in your calculator, you should get negative 9.6. That would be part A. So the equation then would be y equals mx plus b. Y is capital M, and then slope mx, using t for time. B is your starting value. This would be your equation. Then saying, what is a horizontal intercept? This is when the line is decreasing. It goes all the way down and there's no meals eaten. Okay, so 0 is your M. So 0 would be equal to that. So you have to solve this equation. Subtract 215, divide by negative 0.9. I'm not writing the steps out. You should get 22.4 years. And that would be like added up to 2010. That would be about the year 2032. Okay, so in the year 2032, 0 meals will be consumed at fast food places. Okay, at fast food places. Not realistic, classic extrapolation error. All right, I'm going to pause the video here, and we will continue with the next one.